Puka Nacua went nuts on Thursday Night Football again. Where should he be ranked among Dynasty wide receivers? We'll tell you next.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is Michael Fabiano. And on today's show, we're going to talk about Mac Jones, Christian McCaffrey. We'll give you some starts and sits for week 5. But I want to start on the Rams side of things from the Thursday Night Football game, another overtime game. Puka Nacua, 10 catches for 85 yards. Yardage wasn't big, but did score a touchdown. He is on pace to have the most receptions ever in an NFL season by a lot. Should we be changing how we think about Puka from a dynasty perspective?
It's not even that. He's on pace for 211 targets. He's on pace for almost 2,000 yards.
I know.
And his current pace would shatter the record for fantasy points scored in a single season by a wide receiver at 456. I mean, if he keeps it up, listen, I love looking at history, and I love seeing history. Like Cam Schlittler last night against the Boston Red Sox. How about them Yankees? Anyways, very excited about that. So he's been phenomenal. And if you had to redo a redraft, Puka would now be number 1 overall. There's no doubt about that. Here's where things change in Dynasty. Marcus, how long is Matthew Stafford going to be the quarterback of the Rams? I don't know. That's a big question.
Pretty good last night.
I get it. His last 2 games, he's been really, really good, but he's not a spring chicken anymore. And so that's why I feel like as great as he is and as great as he's been, I am a little bit worried about what happens to Puka Nacua in terms of his level of production and consistency when the Rams don't have Matthew Stafford anymore. And is Stafford around for another year, 2 years? I don't know. I don't know, but it's not long-term. So that's the one hesitation with Puka, because Stafford.
But don't you feel pretty good with? Don't you feel good that McVay is going to get somebody in here to be a good quarterback? It's almost like the Kyle Shanahan thing we're going to talk about in a second, where he's just such a good coach that, like, I have no doubt that he'll figure it out.
If you have faith in McVay in that, that way, and you think he's going to get somebody else in here, then yeah, Puka deserves to be in the conversation as the number 1 dynasty wide receiver. I just, connections are not always the same between a quarterback and a wide receiver. And quarterback, I mean, it's hard to find a good one. I mean, the Rams, are you going to get one in the draft? I don't know. I mean, how comfortable are you going to feel with Puka Nacua catching passes from a rookie? If that's the case, I don't know. And this,
I feel good that McVay is going to give him like a bunch of targets, though. So that's the thing I don't worry about.
I get it. But that is the one concern with Puka is Matthew Stafford's long-term projection for the remainder of his NFL career. Is he in LA for the next 2 years? Okay, I'm good, fine with that. I just don't know. And so that's where the hesitation comes in, because, I know that we're going to see Jamar Chase catching passes from Joe Burrow whenever he's healthy, which has been a problem.
Well, and that's what I was going to say.
Lamb is catching passes from Dak Prescott.
Who's been banged up a lot.
I get it. Malik Neighbors, coming off the knee, so that's going to, hurt his stock a little bit, but you would think, Jackson Dart will be targeting him. And we've also seen, Malik Neighbors do it with some really less than stellar quarterbacks. So I love Puka. Don't get me wrong. It's the one hesitation for me to put him like head and shoulders above everyone else in Dynasty at wide receiver.
I'm not saying that he needs to be head and shoulders above everybody else, but like, we have just such a long stretch of him being dominant. I mean, he's over his last 20 games, he's averaging 100 receiving yards, averaging.
Yeah.
And the only other guy that's like in that category is Justin Jefferson, who I think is averaging like 98 yards per game during that same stretch. And I understand the concerns about Stafford. Yes, he's old, but for whatever reason, I just trust Sean McVay, whether it's him drafting a quarterback and getting him up to play up to a high level, because it's not like Matt Stafford is the only quarterback that Sean McVay has had. He took Jared Goff to a Super Bowl, right? And he turned Goff into a guy that was awful in year one into a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I'm just having a hard time looking at some of the names ahead of him. And I'll give you even a guy like CeeDee Lamb, who I love. I would just much prefer Puka right now. He's 2 years younger. The injuries there's concerns for injuries for both of these guys, but Puka is just getting fed 14 targets, it seems like, every game.
It's hard to make an argument against him. And that's why I tried to make a small, minute one, right? Because like, it's not always rainbows and apple pie, as our pal Elliot Harrison would say.
Well, can I ask you about Malik Neighbors? Even if Neighbors were healthy, do we think Neighbors is averaging 100 yards a game? No, I don't think so. I mean, and you've got a young quarterback that we've got no idea about with Jackson Dart. So even a healthy Neighbors, I'm not so sure that we should be putting ahead of Puka. Now that he's hurt, definitely shouldn't be putting him ahead of Puka.
Right now, certainly. I am a big Malik Neighbors fan. Big Malik. I was wrong having him second when he got drafted. I had Harrison Jr. first, and that's bad on me, but it's hard not to love Neighbors. But yeah, I mean, right now, Neighbors is certainly not ahead of Puka Nacua. And I get it. The argument is there to be made that even if he were healthy, Puka should be ahead of him. But again, like Puka's had the majority of his success with a Hall of Fame quarterback, and Malik Neighbors did it with Tim Boyle. And Tommy DeVito, if you're watching.
But I also think, it's also different when you have Brian Daboll as your head coach versus Sean McVay. I just trust that the Rams, and again, maybe I'm wrong here, I trust that the Rams are always going to have adequate quarterback play, whether that's Stafford, whether that's Garoppolo, who's the backup right now, whether that's them trading for somebody next year. I just don't worry about it, whereas I do worry about it with the Giants because we have not seen them have even halfway decent quarterback play during
that also assumes that, when Stafford, gets on his horse and rides off into the sunset, that McVay doesn't follow him and then go to the booth.
McVay's like 38. I think he's.
I know, I get it, but I mean, there were some rumors about that a couple of years ago.
I guess I just don't worry. To me, that's like, hey, I'm going to leave the booth, Rams. Make sure you give me a little bit more money. I wanted to talk about some other stuff with the Rams. We should mention Kyren Williams, 14 carries, 65 yards, did catch 8 passes for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did fumble at the goal line, which is a big deal. But Blake Corum also fumbled in this game. He had only 1 carry. As rough as that fumble was for Kyren, this is just still his backfield moving forward.
Yeah, and Corum's player prop for rushing yards was a very popular play in that game last night, because what did we all think? And we were all wrong. We all thought this was going to be a game script where the Rams were playing from ahead and they were going to run the ball. It was completely 180 degrees the other way. The Niners were the team that were winning most of that game, and it ended up being different, where Stafford went bananas, 389 yards, 3 touchdowns, playing from behind, trying to eliminate a deficit. And yeah, I've never really been worried about Blake Corum as it pertains to Kyren Williams. I do feel bad for Kyren fumbling at the goal line there, not only for just himself, but also my fantasy team, because I've got him in a couple of dynasty leagues and I was hoping to get that touchdown, but I got 31 points from him, so I can't really complain that much. And Kyren Williams continues to be, I don't know if I want to use the word underrated, Marcus, but when you talk about the high end running backs, nobody talks about him really, right? Everyone talks about running backs. You talk about Saquon, and you talk about McCaffrey, and you talk about Ashton Genty and Marion Hampton. All this dude is doing is scoring fantasy points and touchdowns. And so I will gladly take the 31 points. Could have been better.
All right, let's talk about the 49ers side of things. I mean, I think nobody was expecting them to win this game. I don't think anybody was expecting them to put up this many yards of offense. What does that mean about Mac Jones and maybe Brock Purdy's future? We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are the places that become an extension of home, whether it's a sports bar that's dedicated to your team's fan base, or maybe the spot that has the best wings in town, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These are the businesses that bring people together. And when neighborhood businesses thrive, the entire neighborhood thrives. I know for me, there's a little wing spot just down the hill from my house, like less than a half mile. And it's the go-to spot on game days. I've been going there for 20 years now. So shout out to Columbus Inn. They're the ones that make football season, and they run their business on Square. It makes your game days experience so much better. I'm sure all of you have a spot that you are thinking about right now. And Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedon to learn more. But before you do, support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. These are the moments that do more than just put the points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep the game moving forward. And this week's moment that moved the game forward is Mac Jones gutting out through dehydration and calf cramps to beat the Rams on Thursday Night Football. I mean, you could tell that he was really struggling out there, but on that final drive of the game in overtime, he willed his team down the field to get the field goal that eventually set up the win. It was a very impressive performance from a guy that's been benched a couple different times now. I love what I saw from Mac Jones. So he is our player that keeps the game moving forward. And when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Fabs, let's talk about Mac Jones. I know there's not a ton of dynasty value here, but I do want to point out how good he was in this game. 33 of 49, 342 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, dealing with dehydration, was dealing with some cramps. He was getting beat up. And I thought he played one of the best games of his career.
Man, I gained so much respect for Mac Jones. Watching him perform in that game, guys, he has had 22 plus points in 2 of his 3 starts for the Niners this year. And he did it last night without, let's see, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings. And you know, it's to me, you know, I see the irony in things. Remember when he came out, the Niners were actually rumored to be maybe going to draft him rather than Trey Lance.
Oh, it's not even a rumor. That's what was going to happen. That's who Kyle Shanahan wanted. John Lynch wanted Trey Lance. Yeah.
So it's funny that, you know, now he's found his way to San Francisco and is playing very well. He really gutted it out. I mean, there was, I mean, you know, you walk him, they were walking him to the sidelines. It looked like he was going to get sick. And when he was down on the ground, it looks like maybe a calf injury or something like that. I thought, oh man, I felt real bad for him, but he was phenomenal. And in fact, in one of my dynasty leagues, dude, I started him.
So did I. I started him in 2 different dynasty leagues because I have Caleb Williams and Michael Penix in every single league, basically. And those are 2 quarterbacks that are on a bye. So I picked up Mac Jones, and you're thrilled with what you got this week.
I got to be honest, I didn't love it. I did not love it. I started the Rams defense in a couple of my redrafts. Nice job, Fabiano. That did not work out very well. But you know, when the Niners had all these injuries, you know, and good for Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne's actually played in a fantasy league with me. I like Kendrick, and to see him go out there and look like Jerry Rice, you know, 10 catches, 142 yards, and putting up over 24 fantasy points for those who are bold enough to start him, which I don't think there were too many people out there who did that. Good on him. But yeah, Mac Jones is a lot of dynasty value, but you know,
does it concern you at all, like from like Brock Purdy's dynasty value? No, well, we did get a report that Purdy re-aggravated his turf toe. He could be out the next couple of weeks, but from a long-term perspective, do you think there's any thoughts to like the 49ers thinking, okay, why are we paying Brock Purdy $55 million a year when Mac Jones can do maybe 90% of what he does.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, how do you? I don't know the the ins and outs of that contract. I don't know if they can get out of that. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I don't know
I
either.
don't know about that.
I mean, I think
But
it's fairly
talk.
team friendly, but I don't think anything is happening like this offseason or anything like that.
Yeah, money talks. So when Purdy is healthy, he's going to be back there. What this does do is give the 49ers a little extra leash.
Well,
so they can win and get Purdy 100% and not feel like they have to rush him back.
The other thing it does, and this is probably the more important thing, is it just gives some of these dynasty assets for the 49ers a higher floor, right? Like for other teams, and I think the Bengals are a perfect example, right? Joe Burrow gets hurt. Jake Browning, who a lot of people liked as a backup, comes in and the offense completely falls apart, right?
Yep.
With the 49ers, that's not the case. So if you have somebody like Christian McCaffrey, yeah, the rushing efficiency wasn't there, 22 carries, 57 yards, but he caught 8 passes for 82 yards. When we mentioned Kendrick Bourne, I think if Jaywan Jennings or Ricky Pearsall are playing in this game, they probably have big games as well. I think that's the more important thing here. Is there's just such a higher floor for the 49ers. And I think the Rams are the same way. We obviously didn't see Jimmy Garoppolo, but I think if Garoppolo were to play, you're still going to see those receivers like Devontae Adams and Puka put up decent fantasy days.
Can we also talk about Jake Tongas? I mean, dude, he was actually one of my sleepers for the week. I was talking about him last night in my pregame interview on Westwood One because tight end's a dumpster fire right now. He had 11 targets in that game last night. I loved all of the overs for his props, and he hit them all. 7 catches, 41 yards. He had a touchdown, over 17 fantasy points. He scored double digits in 3 of his 5 games, including 2 in a row. And George Kittle, I believe, is eligible to return next week, but I don't know that necessarily means that he's going to return next week. And once again, it's Kyle Shanahan's offense. You mentioned it. It's not a plug and play, but Mac Jones, was a first-round pick in this league, and he's come in and done very well. And Kendrick Bourne, who wasn't even on the team, a month ago, comes in and does very well. Jake Tongas, who no one had heard of because why? It's George Kittle's role. Well, he's come in and played very well. And I will also say this, after 5 games, I could not have been more wrong about Christian McCaffrey. I've nailed a lot this season, and there's still plenty of games left for McCaffrey to maybe fall prey, and I'm not hoping that happens, trust me. But he has been phenomenal. In fact, he is on pace, Marcus, to post 422 points. It would be the second highest total of his career. So kudos to Christian McCaffrey and those who drafted him in the first round, where I would not do that.
I think the thing with McCaffrey is I have never been concerned, like when he's healthy, he's going to get work. He's on pace for 130 catches this year. It's just that you're worried about the workload being too much and, him not being able to make it through the season. But this is what we were kind of advocating during the offseason is every week that McCaffrey starts and finishes a game, he's probably going to be RB1. And that's what it's been so far through 5 weeks.
Yeah. I was concerned. I mean, again, it's 5 games.
You still can be. Like, there's just the thing is, if he's going to keep getting, how many touches did he get this week? 30 touches.
Yeah.
There's no way he's going to be able to make it through a 17-game schedule if he's getting 30 touches. But he's going to win you weeks until we get there.
If you have McCaffrey in Dynasty right now, are you open to selling high on him?
No.
You're holding.
Probably because at this point, like if you have McCaffrey, you're probably contending. And there's just very few running backs that can help you win a Dynasty championship this year, more so than McCaffrey.
What if someone offers you Ashton Genty or Omarion Hampton straight up for McCaffrey right now?
Yeah, I mean, I would do that. But like, am I flipping? So McCaffrey's being drafted as RB13 right now. Am I flipping him for Devon Achane? Probably not.
Omarion Hampton, though, yes.
Yes, probably.
And Ashton Genty, yes. Okay.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, let me ask you this. Right now, some of the most recent trades on Dynasty League football regarding Christian McCaffrey are like McCaffrey for a 2026 first-round pick. If I'm contending at all, or if I'm like in my top half of the league,
then I'm not doing that.
I just rather have McCaffrey. He has a legit chance to help you win your league this year. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I might be more apt to just if I don't have Brian Robinson Jr. already to make a trade for him, just in case. And I may even be willing to give up, a second round pick. And you may think that's insane, but just for the peace of mind to know that if McCaffrey does go down, and he's looked great so far, but if he does go down, at least I got Robinson behind me.
All right, let's do some starts and sits for week 5. Some guys that you want to make sure are in your lineups ahead of Sunday. We will get to that next.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL Podcast. 2 shows every single day. 1 in the morning with Tyler Rowland, 1 in the afternoon with Tony Wiggins, available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Fabs, let's wrap up the week here by talking about some players that we are starting and sitting here in week 5. Who do you got?
Well, we'll start off with Justin Fields against the quarterback cheat code that is the Dallas Cowboys. Every quarterback they have played at least 24 points. 2 have gone for at least 29 points. Fields with a phenomenal game last week from a fantasy standpoint. Really, that's all we care about, with over 27 fantasy points. I have Justin Fields in my top 10 among quarterbacks this week. So he is a very
I would even put him higher than that. We should mention, like, the Cowboys defense has got some injuries, especially in their secondary. Yes. I just think they're going to run the ball like crazy. This feels like a Fields game where he could have 10, 12 carries, and that's a cheat code for fantasy.
Yeah. So Fields needs to be in your lineup. We'll start Cam Scatterbo as well. Yeah, he had 13 points last week, which is okay, but he had a 48% touch share, and Tyrone Tracy is still banged up. And then you've got the Saints this week. In their first 4 games, they've allowed 3 running backs to beat them for at least 18 points. So I think that's a good projection for Scatterbo this week, 16 to 18 points based on the matchup and certainly based on the volume that he received last week. I've been trying to get Scatterbo in a couple of my leagues, and he has just gotten very expensive. But he is a very good play this week.
Well, real quick, and I got to assume that with Jackson Dart getting a little beat up last week, I mean, he's going to start, no issues there. I just don't know if we're going to see as many design runs. It feels like this could be a game where Scatterbo gets 16, 17 touches, and against the Saints defense that's good but not amazing.
Right. Again, they've been very vulnerable to running backs, and even with 18 touches, I think Scatterbo is going to be just fine.
Yep.
I'm also starting Michael Pittman Jr. Like, quietly, he's been really good. 15 plus points in all but 1 of his first 4 games. And he's averaging right around 16 points per game overall. So we're seeing like the Michael Pittman Jr. from a couple of years ago, which is great. And that has to do with Daniel Jones. You've got the Raiders this week. They've given up the 4th most points to perimeter receivers after the first 4 weeks. So they are vulnerable. If you're looking for a sleeper streamer, you could also throw, Josh Downs into the mix there. Well, but Michael Pittman Jr. is clearly the Colts wide receiver to start this week.
The only thing I would say with Pittman is just be careful there. He was full practice on Wednesday. He was downgraded to limited with a hamstring injury. Make sure you check out the practice reports on Friday to make sure he's full go. Mm-hmm. He is generally a player that will play through injuries, but just something to monitor. Who are a couple players that you are sitting here in week 3? Week 5, not week 3, week 5.
Time flies.
I know.
Bo Nix against the Eagles. He was really good last week, but that was against the Bengals. Philadelphia's defense is really tough on quarterbacks at Lincoln Financial Field. Last 11 home games there, their defense has given up 12.1 points per game to quarterbacks. So, Bo Nix is obviously a start in super flex. In traditional leagues, you may want to fade him in that matchup. Got a couple of more for you. And there are big names that you probably have to start. You don't have to like it. And the first is Chase Brown. He has gone to HE double hockey sticks and a handbasket since Joe Burrow's gone down. His numbers have been awful. And that's the entire Bengals offense. And now you've got the Lions this week. They've held Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, Derrick Henry to combine 38.6 points. So do the math. It's not very good. And Chase is just, and it's nothing to do with a lack of talent. It's just Joe Burrow's absence has decimated this offense. So
is there any chance that we get into one of these like super negative game scripts where it's, 2 touchdown lead for Detroit and it's just Chase Brown catching a bunch of underneath passes and that's how he gets his way to 10 catches for 60 yards? Brother,
we saw that 2 weeks ago against, Minnesota. They got beat 48-10.
I know.
They were getting beat by Denver last week. I wish I had better. This is insane. I have Michael Pittman Jr. ranked ahead of Jamar Chase this week. It's insane. But this is where we're at right now. This is where we're at. And then Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, last week he had 10.6 points. It was the best game he's had all year. And it's awful. But hey, his catch rate went from 28% to 37.5%. Oh, well, at least if you're trying to find some sort of silver lining in this.
There you go.
The Chiefs have allowed 2 touchdowns to the perimeter in their first 4 games. So the matchup's not good. And I don't expect a lot from the Jaguars this week. I think the guy I have the most confidence in is probably Travis Etienne. But that passing game, even though they're winning, I mean, listen, let's be honest. Brenton Strange has been maybe their most consistent pass catcher. And that's not saying much.
It's crazy. They were 1 Jake Browning game-winning drive away from being 4-0 on the season. Imagine what we'd be talking about if Jacksonville did that.
And it was Jake Browning, who's not.
That's what I'm saying. Is 1 Jake Browning game away from being 4-0. I'm actually really excited about that Chiefs Jaguars game. It should be a lot of fun.
Monday night, man. Monday night, yeah.
It's a good Monday night game
in Duval. So the Jaguars fans will be fired up. But
can I make a prediction? This is the Travis Hunter week. This is the Travis Hunter game, right? It's Monday Night Football. I think this is where
what makes you think that? Interesting.
I just think that this is going to be the game where the Jags kind of show him off, right? Like, not that they've been saving him for this game, but hey, this is the first time Jacksonville has been in a primetime spot all season. I think he's going to play a lot of offense in this game because I think they're going to need it. I think he's going to have a big game. That's just my prediction.
All right.
Big time players make big time plays in big time games, right?
I'm keeping him far from my starting lineup if I can help it. Yeah,
it's just a gut call. All right, that is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty Football your first listen every single day. Check out the channel on YouTube. Download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are free and available on all platforms. Follow Fabs on Twitter at Michael_Fabiano. I'm at Marcus_Mosher. Enjoy all of the action on Sunday, and we will see you right back here on Monday.